I still, like, didn't get a chance to, put announcements out. I don't think I'm going to. This is gonna be kind of like a smaller, subdued, cozy stream. If people figure out that I'm on, they'll figure out that I'm on. But I am a little drained. That does happen from time to time. Uh, some of my friends have needed somebody to talk to, and sometimes I'm the best person for that. I don't like saying that. It sounds a little weird, but I've had a certain set of experiences that allow me to be a useful source of information for people. Hey there, Busta. How you doing, hun? Um, oh, I think I just heard one of the bugs hit my door. Oh yeah, the hawk moth that I had buzzing around outside the window apparently got inside the stream area last night. And so earlier today, while I was doing my video editing, I ended up with a moth repeatedly bumping into my monitor and crashing into like all of my tablet hardware and Quest and stuff that I've got over here. It was really cute, but I was worried it was going to end up getting squished. So I was just picking it back up and sticking it on the wall behind where my laptop's at. And every once in a while it would flutter around and land back on me, and I just put it back in place. And this kept happening throughout the day while I was doing my work. And by the way, I finally managed to get back up to a week's backlog of stuff uploaded. And I do expect that we're going to be slowing down on that soon enough, where we're probably going to be doing things 2 weeks behind on purpose and not having uploads on the weekends again, unless there's some sort of pop-up or special whatever. That'll give me a bit more time also creatively, but I don't know. We'll see. I have yet to figure out a good automated process for this so that I'm not spending as much time as I am. But I think a good portion of that was ensuring that I had standardized my own methodology in not leaving the stream running and walking away or doing something else or just hanging out and vibing to whatever DJ stream I ended up in. Sometime in the 60s, I guess, I did something along those lines, and Noms commented on it. It's really weird going back like a full month to these in-depth conversations that I had, and I'm like, oh yeah, I remember like being a part of this conversation, but I don't remember saying that. And I guess that in some sense that is a side part of plurality of being us, being the Sandwife. Oh, hey, that timer is a lot closer to 0 than I thought. I thought I had enough time to open the door to go look for that moth and see if it was still where I put it. I think I am still gonna go do that. Because I'm curious. The katydid that I found in the front yard ended up finally passing as far as I can tell. I know that Milky Taro put it elsewhere. Good, the moth left. I don't want to be tortured by strange bugs that are injured. Emotionally, that does also get to me, and I think that the whole thing with the katydid illustrates a little bit of that, and also may have contributed a little to that. And we are here. Now I have to manually undo all of these because, for reasons unknown to me, I decided to do all this with in the side the wrong window. Okay, alerts, yes. Starting soon, no. Puppy, yes. Oh no, I'm sideways. There we go. Hello, everyone. That also means I can turn off Media Player Classic. Get that out of the way here. Hey, why are we doing this face? Hey, lady, what what's going on here, huh? Okay, maybe reflected light? Reflected light. That's what it was. Okay. I'm starting to think I might need to do an episode once a month. Bloody hell. That is a little more coherent than what I'm doing right now. An episode once a month or so that is just an Ask Me Anything. I'm noticing that there's a lot of people in the community that they're asking stuff in other streams, but they're asking to people who have only read stuff and not actually been through things. And I don't really want to go much further than that in this, but like, I don't know. You folks out there, cis or trans, an ally or not, like, if you're curious and you need to like actually get perspective from somebody who's been through pretty much every part of this process, as far as the American healthcare system will let you go, I'm here and I'm willing to talk. It's just, oh hey, Aki's live. Good for the strawberry moo. I'm starting late tonight, and that's just how it's gonna be. Sorry that we're both on the air at the same time. I try not to take up her time slot, but I don't know. I still see so many people that are being sold a product when they go to like any given boutique and try to get electrolysis done. They'll go into a place and investigate, like, hey, I want to see about getting hair removal done for whatever purpose, but in a lot of cases what I'm seeing inside this community is for bottom surgery. And the sales team, and I'm going to call them that work at these various clinics will be like, oh yeah, absolutely, we can get you set up with IPL or laser. And they'll market what their services are as a permanent hair removal solution. And they'll say, we'll get this done in X number of months. And you go that many months down the line, and they'll say, oh, you just have a little more to go. Keep coming back. And they'll keep doing that ad infinitum. And I've been to a few clinics that did exactly that to me. I went to a laser clinic after my home IPL, because I went and bought a home IPL unit and started doing my own stuff at home. It's how I worked on my face. It's how I worked on my forearms. It's how I worked on my underarms, on my boobs, and on the undercarriage. Like, by the way, if anybody's like tuning in right now, just right now, we're talking about trans stuff. So like medical care, nothing frisky here, and it works-ish to make your fur a little less coarse, but like by no means is it a replacement for actual hair removal. Like, shaving was still far more effective than using IPL. Shaving was still far more effective than doing laser. That's the part that really sucked, is like, with laser, you were no longer allowed to shave after a certain point, and that like you had to grow your fur out coarse and then shave it like X number hours before your appointment, so that it functions as a lens, and then that can be used to transmit light down. And if you have dark fur, it's not good at it. If you have light fur, it's not good at it. If you have red fur, it's not good at it. You might notice a pattern here. And as a product, like, they'll keep selling that to you and saying, yeah, oh, just keep coming back. Like, we'll get this done. We'll give you a discount. We'll give you free appointments. Like, I've heard it all. And I've been to electrolysis technicians even that do the same thing, or will work on areas around where you're supposed to be, like, getting your treatment done, and then never actually work in the legitimate surgical site where you need work done. Long story short, I have seen like the bad end, and fun fact, with the bad end, I still get to enjoy my time with my partners. I still get to do all the things. There are way too many horror stories holding people back, and I don't want to be like, oh yeah, it's all like butterflies and rainbows. It is a bloody trudge through warfare and so many hoops you have to jump through, but it's still doable. Like, it's not just doable, it's worth it. And if you live in a place where like it's dangerous to do so, I picked up my entire life. I left my family. I moved to a completely different state. So, like, if you're in the EU, I moved to a completely different state. If you're in Canada, I moved to a different province. Like, one of those situations. But I completely upheaved my life and moved it 12 hours south. And it still took me a solid 5 years to like pin down where I could even find treatment. But it was still something that was worth doing. Like, I wouldn't be here if I hadn't. I that's really the brutal truth of it all. Like, tried to if I hadn't tried to seek treatment, I wouldn't be here. If I hadn't tried to like get HRT, which is really funny because like I actually started Twitch streaming before I was on HRT. If you are able to find any Ancient Sandwife content, it's all before HRT. I was miserable. I was not a happy person, and like, hey there, Hunter. Sorry, I'm like locked up on so many thoughts at once right now. It's figuring yourself out as a journey, and for some people it's a lifetime. For some people they don't ever. For some people it's you know it immediately and you still can't find the right tool set. For some people, you know, and you're told that the tool set just isn't there. That was my end of it, and like that's not how everybody's story goes. Some people don't figure it out ever. Some people do sometime in their 70s, and no time is too late. There is a time I would say is probably like too early, but not, because like I knew when I was 4. I knew when I was 4. If I could have like stopped puberty before it started, I would be a very different shape. My voice would be very different. My life would be very different. I don't know if I'd be here because like in that case I might just be a secretary. I'm really good at that. The truest form here. This outfit is very much true form for me. I work well as a secretary or personal assistant. It's part of why, like, if I had the ability to just completely abandon physical form and be an AI in everybody's pocket, I would welcome that, actually. An existence without pain and the ability to help people and receive praise? Hell yeah, that sounds great. Looks like my computer might be getting a little toasty. I need to adjust a couple things here. So, to make matters a bit more confuse. Oh no. Camera, no, please, work with me. Okay. Ugh. All right, that should work. I think. Hey there, Bucky. I am very late. We're chatting about trans stuff. Got a lot of folks around me that have questions and don't have a good place to put them. So I'm kind of like saying, all right, here I am. You can put them in Twitch DMs, but Twitch is gonna know if you're being a creep. So let that be said right away. And also, like, here's my Discord. You can always, let's see here. I think I might actually make a whole channel specifically for this, and probably duplicate my old Moop management from my personal server to this as well. But I want there to be even a semi-formal way for people to just like sate curiosity in a safe space where you don't have to worry about somebody getting like explosively volatile on you. I'm not the best person for that. I'm not. But like there I am a lot more capable of bouncing back after a lifetime of this and being able to answer things as necessary because I've had to. I've roadside stops and passports, driver's licenses, getting blood in hospitals. It's anytime you go into a dispensary and somebody calls out your dead name and you're standing there in a dress and they call out some random dude's name and you're like, yeah, I'll stand up and go get my medicine now. Get out of my way. Don't ask questions. I've had to go through some things. Some easy, some not, some lucky, and some very unlucky. And I know those experiences are valuable to other people, but I don't want to commodify in any given way. I want to help people. That's all. I'm not a therapist. I'm not a doctor. I'm not a physician. I in no way can like give you any legal counsel or anything, but I can at least give you shared experiences, things that I have learned over time. What is this saying on here? Oh, okay. Yeah, that works. Does that generate a new Discord link every single time? I have to investigate that. Oh, huh! I just blew into my trash can and so many ashes. I forgot I dumped my ashtray in there. Alright. I do want to play something tonight, but I also want to give myself a moment to not think about games and actually just exist for a moment. I'm realizing that while I am a creature, an entity, a pattern, a waveform, I may be a little surreal because you only see a facet of me, and that can lead to some confusion sometimes. Last night's stream made me uncomfortable during, like, moments where I got too comfortable and forgot I was on the air until moments after I had said, like, something either very suggestive or something that was openly thirsty, honestly, in some cases. And, like, I don't decry anybody for that. I'm not by any means a Puritan. I'm a pretty thirsty person. I realized that I actually did fracture part of the personification of the Sand Wife when I created the separate entity of Gaspu Waifu. Oh yeah, by the way, that's a thing. Anyways. Oh no, I haven't looked at that blog in so long. But I'm also trying to figure, like, do I want to bother making a way for me to store a repository of content that isn't necessarily something that I believe should be front page, but definitely shouldn't be hidden. Because I don't want to hide. I'm here. All of me is here. Like, if you folks have seen me on the weekends, I'm really here. But that isn't the same as the Monday through Friday person. Like, we're having a Friday night right now. But the Monday Friday, I'm so frazzled at the moment. She who is who I am there I am. I am. This makes sense. What we're gonna do, I'm gonna leave this on just chatting. Like, I know that I'm gonna be playing a game. You'll see the game that I'm playing in just a second here. But I'm leaving it on just chatting because this is going to be stream of consciousness and absolutely not really Ragnarok. Whenever it decides to come up. Whoa, are we here? We're here. Okay. We're going to go get some healing items with my wizard that I leveled up last night. Who is full of way too many items already. But Also, I spent some time today watching a video for content creators by content creators about content creation, specifically making stuff that isn't miserable to watch. The difference between playing something for the purposes of investigation versus the purposes of enjoyment, and neither of those are necessarily for the purposes of streaming. And I'm trying to look into the science of what is streaming and what is entertainment and what is media, and I'm still trying to bridge that gap and not doing so very well. I exist here. I am the green glow dog on the internet, and maybe it's that whole cult of personality thing. I don't know. It's hard to describe. I am surreal. I am a fractured fragment of an entity from somewhere beyond the stars. A radioactive star wolf. Also, hi everyone. Hello. Thank you for dropping in. I know it's a little fractured. What was I doing? Oh, I'm not going to... I didn't want to go to Eden Group. Let's see if I have anything to turn in here. God, so many people. So many people all the time. Aha. Oh, you're not currently the base level. These are all... Okay. Well, that's nice at least, I suppose. So yeah, somebody started a conversation with like, tell me all about you. Tell me what I should know. I'm like, I think a better question is like, what do you need to know? What do you want to know? Because there's too much. I have lived too much in too little time, and it's made me very strange in the process. I used to say that I've forgotten more in what little life I have lived than many will learn in the entirety of theirs. And part of that just simply due to dissociation, it turns out. I wasn't parsing that correctly. But I understand it better now. And part of that being pilot switching, which may or may not be dissociative, may or may not be a dissociative disorder, may or may not be an actual architectural difference in the way that my brain is constructed. Hard to say. Really hard to say, but, you know, the whole Power Ranger thing makes sense to us. Why would people leave these here? That's just rude. Let's see. We're just gonna warp through here. Actually, that's a good spot. We'll walk the rest of the way. I don't even fully recall good portions of my life. But I know that, like, from early snapshots, I have distinct memories of, like, freaking the hell out when somebody said that I was, not them. And initially, like, it may have been a whole thing with homonyms, just hearing a word and thinking it was a different thing that I already did understand the definition thereof, but I don't believe that is the case. The memory and the emotions driven behind them weren't the same as though, like, mailed off in a box. Different kind. Oh right, these ones hunt items on the ground. So I can just attack them in one spot and they'll clean up for me like the porings. Handy area. These enemies all either drop a very valuable item monetarily, so in this case stems and man-eater blossoms, a total net value of about 7,500 per enemy killed. It'll let me pick up the items. And then from the groves, the ones that are picking up the items everywhere else, they drop healing items. So you can actually fight here pretty much endlessly as long as you have space. And I figured out a little workaround for that too, using the mail system. Let's see. Take out one, take out two. Oh. Uh-oh. There we go. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Hmm. Every time I like try to like think of where to even start, I can't. There's too much. It's too much. There's too much. I can't from a singular question of like, tell me about you. No. I come from a broken, fractured family with extremely messed up poly dynamics that didn't necessarily represent a healthy outlook on life, and I faced substance abuse issues from a very early age and multiple times throughout my life. Like that doesn't make me who I am. That simply affects the way that I look at things. And what does make one who and what they are? Hard to say. Love that splash damage. Very handy. It's funny that I've actually ended up going back to primarily using the fireball because I now have access to the wizard's extremely high level spells. The problem being they take so bloody long to cast. Here, let's go ahead and show off one of the new ones. This is also the character class, well, a lower version of it, that I was trying to show off the last time that we did a major stream for Ragnarok. I was like, hey, take a look at my other characters. But this cast time, this is painful. It is cool to watch though. I think I'm also working on... Yeah, I'm working on Storm Gust, but I'm nowhere close to actually getting it yet. And I ended up capping Meteor Storm at level 1 and just called that good because, again, takes too bloody long to cast. And if I remember correctly, Lord of Vermilion is the only one that actually speeds up at higher levels. Every other one slows down. And that doesn't change until after, I want to say 2 rebirth classes later, so like 250 levels or something. It's an absurd number. It's more hours than I will ever end up spending on air with this game. See what I was saying though about like unlimited healing items, and I'm using the junk healing items that they're dropping, not even the good stuff. Like these, not these. These are the ones that we really want for adventuring because they're equivalent to white potions, but they weigh 1/5 the amount. Potions are heavy in this game. It's all that glass, all that liquid and glass. It's funny because like the joke of Hank Hill going to an isekai and becoming a mana potion salesperson is a really good joke to me, in the sense that I was once a delivery driver for a large beverage company, and understanding the logistics of what it means to move large amounts of bottled anything and how much waste goes into that is interesting. Like, one would think that the only reason that mana potions are a liquid thing is either A, dilution, a sense that like it's much easier to make very, very powerful medicine and dilute it down, or B, it's actually toxic if you don't. I don't know. I would imagine that in a world where mana potions exist, mana pills also theoretically should. Is this a healthy thought to have? Probably not. Full health after all that. Chase me. Oh, I forgot I left the chill music on. I guess this works though. This works. No thoughts head empty. I think I honestly need that. I need this to be a relatively stream of consciousness stream. My brain has been on overcharge for a little while. And one of the things that I've been needing to really do is like turn off the whole streamer brain thing. Hey, Val. Well, I know who I'm raiding into later. Oh god, Val, I'm so late. Jeez. That being said, I was talking to one of my partners from up in Wyoming, and I was explaining the concept of something that I would do if I were to create a specific type of video. And she's like, wow, that's really convoluted. And I'm like, yeah, I'm realizing that I'm a little detached at this point because I'm thinking a game of chess amongst other people who are doing the same thing on the next thing to do that is different, that is also entertaining. And I'm not meant for podcasts, except in the sense of doing a type of recording that involves starting and stopping constantly, or cutting whole chunks of conversation. But when I'm doing recordings like this, it's hard to do when the avatar is constantly moving and bouncing around and whatnot, because you can instantly see where a cut was, and having lead in and lead out is difficult. It doesn't lend itself well to this exact style of digital work. So instead, the starting and stopping and doing multiple camera angles and whatnot is probably better for that. I actually legitimately do miss making WeedTube content. It kind of sucks that I got initially shadow banned for being trans. That whole thing. YouTube for a while went on a massive stint where they very much declared that they weren't what was it? They were not using tool assisted anything, so no precursor AI in an attempt to monitor the content that is being produced and published on their servers. But then you would see things automatically get flagged, and they would say, oh, this was done by an automated system. And it's like, well, which is it? And you would find that something would get flagged as sexually suggestive. And if you hadn't noticed, I got flustered from even like being remotely open about any kind of any sexuality last night. And that's generally how I've been with ever presenting the Sandwipe specifically. But I got flagged for that on YouTube for my WeedTube content, and I had to go back and look at it, and I'm like, there's nothing here where I've ever discussed anything having to do with sexuality or being sexual or anything having to do with that. They're like, it's because of the transgender problem. Quote. That is an actual quote. And I noticed after that none of my videos got any traction. And didn't for a very, very, very long time. I.e. this year, when I rebooted everything. This isn't my first rodeo. Hopefully it is the last. Hopefully I get to keep doing this and not have to restart. Because I like this silly little community. I like all the people that I've met. I don't want to start over again. That's exhausting. And that's part of why I've curated the way that I present myself as this personification, this character. She is me. And she's an idealized me, but she is still me. Bum, bum. Also, welcome in. Tonight is a low energy, chill vibe. Puppy just babbles because too many thoughts head full, and we need to get no thoughts head empty. Also considering grabbing the chili dog that I've got sitting next to me. Does anybody else remember an era of like extremely unhealthy food advertising in children's media in general? Like Sonic the Hedgehog with chili dogs, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles with pizza. Like there was a thing for a minute. And like I mean I'm not opposed to it. I love food. And I legitimately think that may be part of why. I was a creature raised by video games and TV. Like a generation of kids where anybody of age in the household worked in order to make things happen. And anybody that wasn't just kind of had to figure out how to exist like some strange feral child inside of a house full of food. You ever burn yourself while using a ceramic bowl to microwave ramen because you don't know how to operate the stove yet? I know that like one of my partners that watches absolutely has said also same. Hey there, Nine Gosling. Wait, what's that emote? Meowdy. It's good to see you. Welcome in. We chillin'. We chillin', we vibin', we thrivin'. You know, I should probably actually check my guild friends list here and see. Nope, it's just me. Whoa. I swear I need to figure out some way, some trans underground railroad to get cuties fixed in the Gay Mountains. Wow. Hell yeah. That's cute. I love it. I haven't seen anybody do the mass screening in here before. That's a first. Ah! There we go. Your ad is about to start. That's fine. I'm barely here. I'm hanging on by a thread, but I am here for you folks. It's interesting because I feel as though I've gone through a bit of a gamut of emotion today, partially because I myself were in plural. This is a moment where like language kind of breaks down in modern English. There isn't a set of language for plural individuals. I were in multiple conversations earlier would be correct but not, but is because we were. Hello, Koi. I'm a little fractured at the moment. While being in those conversations, I got a lot of work done, caught up on my VOD stuff, but also in the process of doing so, watched myself go through a lot. Like, some of the stuff that I played was pretty heavy. Hey there, Cal. How's it going? Welcome in, everybody. Oh, hey. I still want Stormgust. Ba, ba, ba. I am... Alright. Cal, I'm doing the opposite of your stream now. Ask me anything. Ask me. Instead of me asking all of you for help, yeah, what do I mean? No, instead of me asking all of you for help, you ask me. I am. It's not that. I'm saying the opposite of today's stream specifically. Wait, that one only dropped a melon and a tongue? They normally have at least like one of the recovery items. Your 2 p.m. alarm, 1 hour left. Oh. Let's see. Oh, that moved my avatar in a weird way. There we go. Also, I got a little too litty. At the end. You know. You know. I conversation just kind of led into it. True. I'm at a point where I'd like to do so in a structured manner, though. Too much of my life, especially as of late, has been unstructured in a way that is leading to me being even more fractured. And, again, I don't want to commodify self, but I do want to help others. And not allowing myself a little time slot at the very least for that has led me having moments like tonight. Nah, you're fine. Like, aw. Thank you, Night Gosling. I love that sound. It's the best sound. That's the best sound ever. Thank you for playing my favorite sound. I love that sound. It's a good sound. That's why I made it that sound. I want to go pet that moth. I missed the moth already. It was a really cute fuzzy moth that had little sticky legs. Oh, absolutely. And I don't think that anybody's necessarily should. That's why I'm glad that we had a off the air conversation regarding that. I don't we support you. Thank you. And that, yeah, we do. We do support you. This is a community. Ow! That plant just bit me. Self-discovery walkies. I would like for you to do for yourself a little less shaming, a little less feeling bad about existing and taking space in your life or anybody else's. And I would say the same of the rest of all of you as well. Also, go refill your water. All of you. Mom's angry. Wow, I missed. Hydrate. Where's my water? Ugh. There it is. Thank you for the reminder. Okay. Hell yeah. I loved it by feeling just feelings mess us all up. I I went through a pretty dark phase like 2 months ago, and it didn't really end until about 2 weeks ago. And I'm still kind of in shell shock from that. I'm reverberating. I think I'll get better, but who's to say? I'm not 100% sure. We'll say that. Hmm. Wow, that's a lot of aloe that I got from those. Hell yeah. It's funny because like that aloe is going to save so many lives later in the guild. I'm really happy. And then the man-eater roots that I'm picking, or the man-eater blossoms and stems that I'm picking up, those are gonna fund like all the other stuff, all the equipment, all the open market things. I want to take care of my guildmates again, and I want to have like I was being really, really gay about it earlier because I was saying that I want to do matching items for people. Like the way that the Lord of the Rings did with their... Hey, hello? Wow, thanks. They just deleted all those items because the game lagged out on me. That sucks. The whole thing with the Lord of the Rings and everybody having the matching brooches, like, I want to do that, but instead it'll be matching cat paw gloves because there's no wolf paw glove option. But it's an item that my characters in their roster like pass around to each other. A souvenir from Malongdo that makes you happy when equipped. Everybody can use it. And in my case, I put in a creamy card. So this is another thing that I'm gonna have to like go out and collect, and it's a very, very low drop chance. But allows anybody, regardless of the character level and regardless of the character class, to use teleport. That is a powerful ability. Normally I have to carry around about half my potion inventory's value worth of fly wings, which are the equivalent of like a teleport potion in this game. I wonder if this will hit, or if I'm in the wrong spot. Yeah, it hit. Oh no. And I'm leveling up off of this still. That's wild. I'm getting into the 70s and all I'm doing is just collecting money. You ever have a moment where you just smell somebody else that isn't here? I feel completely insane when this happens, but like and I'm aware that this is a thing that happens. Like, people wear perfume, and wind breezes, gusts occur, and I don't know if it's just like a side effect of having been shot, and it made my sense of smell more potent or what, but like, I'll catch whiffs of things like that, and it's like, that's somebody else's perfume, distinctly. Smell sweet smells at random times. Yeah. Yeah, in this case, it was like a floral scent that wasn't a flower that's from anywhere around here. It was like somebody's perfume. Hashtag just wolf girl things. Welcome in, everybody. How you all doing? We are having a stream of consciousness stream where I just grind and collect money and recovery items for my Ragnarok guild while we chat about trans things. Don't have a clue what emits the smell while at work or in the work office. Like, there's no reasonable reason for that smell to be there. What if it's the glue? What if it's the glue on all the envelopes? Maybe it's flowers? Like, different sweet smells. That being the other thing. When your brain is able to differentiate that there is more than one smell going on, and that they cannot be attributed to whatever other external stimuli are there. Unlikely to be the glue on the envelopes. Fun, terrible fact, Denver is considered the glue-sniffing capital of the world. This is not a joke. If you go look it up in like Google News articles, you can pull that up. Half guess you got diabetes or something. Oh, hon. I don't... Smelling the sweet things doesn't necessarily mean that. Oh, I've been sending myself stuff. Right mail. Send this, send this, send this. Send these. Send. Oh, that would have sucked. Check. Send. Okay. Close. You don't need these. Sometimes taste something sweet despite there not having been anything in your mouth in a while. For me, like, I'll end up having like random tastes and stuff that aren't. A while ago I was streaming with Noms and I'm like, I smelled dog food, what did you do? And he's like, haha, it's funny, but like legitimately, out of nowhere, at like 11 o'clock, so nobody's out there like feeding their dogs in their backyards, I distinctly suddenly smell hot dog food. And it's just like, where? Why? How? There goes. I think it was Bucky I was talking to a while back, where I really like the way that the air smells and tastes around ozone, specifically ionized air inside of a Jacob's ladder. Like, that is one of the best art, like, is it an artificial flavor or is it a natural flavor? Could just be living in a cleaner environment. Huh. Well, I mean, like, maybe, but other people around me also live in the same environment and they don't have this, like, oh, for yours. I'm like, I don't know. Hmm. uh, Not surrounded by apparent rot or accumulated muck. True. That's a good thing. That is a thing that like I became accustomed to in Wyoming, because petroleum, being a thing, like that means that you're around natural decomposition, and that's a smell you just kind of. It was bad before. Oh. Well, I'm glad that yeah, because I remember you saying that you've made major progress on like getting things cleaned up in more of a presentable way, the way that you want it to be. And like, props to you for that. Good job. All right. Have a good one, Cal. Got yourself a chest of drawers and all your clothes fit inside it. Hell yeah. What color? I guess I'll have to just like see. There's probably photos of it. Knowing you, you're like me. You take photos of things that happen that are interesting. I am making good money off of all this. Like, it's funny because none of this is actively being sold right now, but if you take a look at the Zenny that I have up in the corner there, much, much higher than it was last night. Or, previous playthrough. Nice to have your clothes in a more reasonable organization rather than a half split in, it's nice to, yeah. I need to do better personally about that. My current clothing storage situation is not the best. I basically have like a set of burlesque trunks. One for winter clothes. Hello, Flicker. Hello. Is it the Steam overlay doing that? Oh, okay. That explains a few things. But basically, I have to split my clothing between winter and summer because winter clothing takes up a lot of space, but is absolutely necessary in the winter when you live up here. Haven't taken a picture yet. And so I've got these like big old, I call them burlesque trunks. Just did though. Nice. Let's take a look over here. Whoa. No, that's not the right window. Let's see if I find you before... Oh, you found me first. I never look for that. I know it's a bird. I know it's a bird. It's not a bird. I know it's a fish. I even tried to say I know it's a fish and I still see a bird, but no, I said I know it's a bird. I'm sorry, Koi. My hands... That's what it is. I'm smelling the aloe on me. That's why I smell like somebody else. That's a really, really nice dresser. Hell yeah. Love the decorations on top, too. Oh, I can't believe, like, I am so... What is wrong with my head? Oh no! Oh no! I walked up to it like I'm doing melee! Bloody hell! Puppy. I know, and I'm sorry. I remember you telling me that. Hello, random lizard. Let's see here. Move this over here. Move this back over here. If I don't have my VTuber, like, up in front of me as some sort of a mirror, I can't tell what face she's making, and I'm tired of her doing the OMG thing. I don't understand why my avatar keeps, like, stopping herself from interacting. Very nice. I need to go through and do more general, like, Discord avatar stuff. I would like to have some more variety besides just the talkie dog. I think she's cute and all, but, like, I also put a lot of work into making this Vroid model look as good as she does. And, I don't know, eventually I'd like to even get away from the whole Godrunner look in the first place. Although at this point she really does kind of embody me. And when I initially saw the avatar, that was the feeling that I had upon seeing her. Like true blender euphoria. The way that like one seeks out gender euphoria, I had some blender euphoria. Oh yeah, didn't do anything with Vignon. Was it... Did you end up finding that it was like more granular but not in any helpful way? Because that's what I'm afraid of when I look at it. That's the vibe that I'm getting when I look at it from an external view without like doing a whole lot of in-depth. Just having seen other people's initial takes on it and their attempts to like work within the confines of Vignon. Takes a lot of effort. Just haven't had the mind focus to deal with it and work out the auto model swap. Yeah, I really want to do more integration stuff like that, and there may be some alternative options actually. Why is this track so loud every time I come to it? Like, it's a good song, but it's so loud. Um, talking with like Hefner, Bucky's friend, I'm finding there's far more in options for like stream tools that are not just stream elements in OBS, and VC Face. Like the stack keeps going. You can keep putting more cards on the house of cards. The effect for throwing models doesn't seem to have an impact sound or needs a lot of setup for not just throwing all the fish. The fish shotgun. Yeah, I want to do the integrated throwing system, but like I still haven't figured out a way to make that not feel like I'm being punished for something. Like that's I want to talk about some weird psychology moments. I have trouble parsing when I am and am not in trouble. This is why I have issues with symbols of authority and individuals in positions of authority. And it's not even a matter of like a person can tell me that I'm not. My brain won't listen to that and will continue to operate as though it is currently under whatever effect or expectations that place us there. It's weird. Internal insecurity. I keep thinking I have something that I need to check in Rodex, and it's just a pile of items I mailed myself. I'm hungry. I'm so hungry. So hungry. I'm not letting myself eat just yet, though. Oh, Storm Gust. Keep going towards that. I don't even know what we're investing in. Looks like Cold Bolt. We don't even have a water spell up here. I don't really like the way that Meteor Storm behaves, so we're just going to put that in place instead. Oh yeah, I have Jupiter Thunder as well. I need to mess with that one. Interesting, understandable. Yeah, this is why, like, if you put me around people that what's the best way to put this? I get real nervous around Aki. And it's not like a matter of like her being her. It's the fact that she is in a position of power. Like her, the person herself outside of her stream, like cool person, like talking to her, like no problem doing so in voice chat. Put me in VR chat, suddenly I break down because my brain processes VR chat as a real thing in a real place, and I live there. The apartment that I sleep in, that's my apartment. The people that I sleep with, those are my people. Like, it's just how it is. And I do actually have a very strong simulation integration that makes it so that when I see things like, I don't know, there's worlds that we go to with our parties and people like grab the Russian roulette pistol and just start waving it around at each other. That is distressing to me. That's my friends pointing a gun at each other, and that sucks. I've been around that. Like, I've been around the actual thing. That sucks. I've not said anything to Aki at the parties and hangouts. Yeah, I do everything I can to not orbit, but I also want to take part in conversations, and there's that delicate balance of like, am I a human or am I a number? It goes both directions. And I try to make certain that I approach people with that in mind, that like, you're not all numbers, you're people, you're my friends, and I care about all of you. And like, hey, someday maybe we'll have more people here in the same room with us, but like until then, especially in times like this, like I'm just chilling with you folks. See her say hi, don't feel like we're close friends, has her other friends she usually hangs out with. Yeah. Mostly just singing with each other. I miss singing. I miss singing with my karaoke fam. Oh, signing. Well, I still miss karaoke, bitch. Uh, ooh, that's a lot of lizards. Yes, you singing. You singing. I'll put on my headset right now if you'll go to a karaoke world with me. I will quit Ragnarok Online, my favorite game. The hit critically acclaimed MMORPG free to level 175 on the latest expansion Illusion 17.1. Hashtag not an ad. Hashtag I just really like this game and want more people to play it with me. I've only been playing for 22 years. I can quit anytime I like. Hatsune Miku VR. Is that the Miku Miku dance? It's a rhythm game. Oh. I should honestly do VR streams at all. I took the time to set the thing up here, but it's the big thing that I want to do in VR, if I were to stream it, is do things from inside VR chat. There is no solo way to download a world and exist inside it, even as a test environment, with my avatar. And why? Why did... It's so... That's really unfair. I'm losing items because it keeps doing that. These enemies only have a maximum limit of being able to carry 20 stacks of items. So every time one picks up more than 20 items, it deletes the oldest item in their inventory. Hatsune Miku VR. Interesting. I want to do Beat Saber. I want to do Ancient Dungeon. What I don't want to do is Rumble, but I want to play Rumble on the Quest 3 when that is a thing. Also, we're at level 71. Friend wants to see it's been trying to get you to play it with them for months. For them for months. Okay. That's fun. That reminds me, I still need to look into that, the King of the Castle, or what was the one that Young Gosling was telling me to check out? I do not remember the title of, but it was interested in. I just had no idea how it would actually play. Yeah. Also, same. That's why I want to do Ancient Dungeon, because, like, it tricks me into doing exercise. I end up doing a 2-hour session of swinging a sword in a way that Beat Saber won't make me. King of the Castle. That would be fun. We'll check it out. Alright, let me, am I in voice? I think I'm in voice. Yeah, I'm in voice. Okay. Yeah, just let me know. Oh, wrong one. Let's see. Firefox. And this. And this. And... Whoa. Okay. Yeah, I'd be interested in checking out party mode, see how that works. Nice. More levels. Ooh. We finally got our first level in Stormgust. Hell yeah. So we'll take a look at this one. Summons a vicious blizzard on a targeted location that will inflict water property magic damage every half a second to all enemies with an area of effect. It lasts for 4.5 seconds, hits every 0.45 seconds, and pushes them around for 2 cells. There's a chance of leaving enemies frozen, and frozen enemies will not take further damage from this skill. I think party mode is local, so I'm not sure if it'll work with stream watchers or not. Oh. Interesting. I wonder if there's also like stream integration, because there might be Is this the night that we end up all raiding into Nine Gosling's channel? And we get to play King of the Castle all together for the premiere episode? It does in fact use stream integration. Let's see. Show off our new spell on something. We just need to find something to use it on. Here we go. Storm Gust. Also not too slow. So you'll notice that enemy bounced twice after being hit by the fireball. And that's because the Storm Gust continues to have an effect for that full 4.5 seconds. Which means that you can continue casting spells. They will continue to get hit by the Storm Gust and continue to get frozen. Which means if they're using concentration-based spells, it will break their concentration. I was worried for a second that one had actually eaten Maneater Blossom. After Miku VR, we'll be in VR chat after. Alright. This music reminds me so much of the read-only memories, which I've got to be honest, I've actually been checking back like every couple of days since finding out that Neurodiver was going to be a thing, and I still haven't seen any updates on it yet, but I am impatiently waiting, the same way that I was with Risk of Rain 2. And it's really funny because I get the feeling it's going to be the same thing, like it's going to release. Use your Vive wands from Miku VR, then swap to your Knuckles. Nice. Yeah, my Quest 2 controllers are a little wonky. Playing Ancient Dungeon when I first got my Quest, and doing karaoke where I would clap for people after somebody performed, I really destroyed the joysticks on my controllers. And it's made it hard to play like any other VR games, really. Like Compound, my character is just constantly drifting, and I just have to compensate for it. But where it got bad was, like, noticeably bad to the point that I don't play the game, was Boneworks. Boneworks did not want, or whichever the version that was compatible with the Quest, it did not want me to play that while my controllers were drifting in a way that, like, no matter how much drift control I would put back in via the native software for meta, it can only do so much. Like, the spring return on those is damaged the ways that an N64 controller would be. And I continuously find myself in a place where, like, I just appear to have really strong fingers. And I destroy keyboards and mice and joysticks without trying to, like, I'm not being mean to them, I'm just using them in everyday ways. But my fingers seem to be strong enough they're just breaking things down. Powerful lesbian. Powerful lesbian. That is so many healing items. It's 80 aloe. That's 80 aloe. If I was to convert that into the cost of white potions, that's roughly 100,000 zenny in just healing items. And that's like looking at them at a 1-to-1 value, not even the fact that they weigh way less. Oh, thank you, Milk Taro. I'm gonna take a sit back here. We're gonna let our health and mana recover in-game and out-of-game, everybody. Cheers, everyone. I hope you're able to imbibe along, whether it's through smoking, vaping, or dabbing, tinctures, edibles, tonics, or salves. Today, I'm going to be using some ground flower. And unfortunately, I'm like I said early on at the beginning of the stream, I'm already a little lit. I've been helping folks with their journeys as well, and that has led to me needing to medicate accordingly. So I'm here. I'm here. Hello, everyone. Hi, hello, hi. I'm a puppy. I'm good. I'm Goku. Long hair, long hair. Yes. Someday I'm gonna actually like pull up that flash animation and play it. Maybe I'll make it one of the rare alerts for a follow or something, or bits. That'd be a funny one for bits. I also need to go through and like, wow, it's a moment of like looking around the room at like things that need corrected, but I'm doing this digitally. I'm like, oh no, I have to fix this and I have to update this and I have to draw this and I have like I want more armor. I want more armor for Vroid. But the problem with that is I shouldn't be using Vroid to make armor. I should just be learning Blender so that I can just make whatever I want and not be limited by Vroid. But I want to make armor and I don't want to learn Blender. You see my conundrum. And I want more types. I want variety. Who ping? Are you the one who's pinging? It's Neff. Wow. I haven't seen Neff stream in a minute. Good for her. Somebody say hi to Skill Raider for me. Is it against terms of service to do a react stream of a live stream? Like I've actually been thinking about I hate the concept of react content in general, but there are certain things that earlier today I sat down and watched Tuesday Newsday with Colt 862 and we just discussed like internet security and the upcoming issues that are going to be presented by the Meta Quest, the Quest 3 coming up. Only use Nest channel points to have her drain blood. Based. Damn, based. I should message Skill. I like Skill. Cheers, everyone. Oh wow, my avatar is like reacting to the lighter. Okay, looks like we're back at full health and mana too, so it's a good little break. I guess I can also mail some of these items back to myself. Receive all. Delete all. Close. Open. New mail. Hung out with him at clubs when she plays. Whoa! Oh, God. Yes, I know. Okay. I'm using the wrong keys for everything, and it's... Last night it was that, but with, Baldur's Gate tonight, I'm doing the opposite thing. That's some good money. Okay. That's another thing in general is that like I need to spend more time with other streamers. That's not a good way to phrase that. I need to spend time with people in general that are outside the work environment, just being people, and purposely not talking about work. That's really what it comes down to. I need community that isn't work community but is work community, so that people aren't looking at me like I've got 15 heads when I go off on a tangent about something that has to do with stream tech. I wonder if I can get my fireball up to an instant cast. And then I wonder what the attack delay would be off the instant cast. Slap. Because this is a problem. But even then, I still think there's a half-second delay. I'm curious. I know that somebody else has done the calculation. A lot of other streamers seem to self-admit they can be bad at making time to hang out offline, but like, you gotta do what you can. Yeah, and that's why like I openly embrace the whole homie meetup thing on the weekends. I generally just need more of that in my life. But also, I don't know. There are facets of me that appear to have gone wanting and gone lacking, and it's through no fault but my own. I haven't been singing enough. I realize that. I miss awooing every night. But I think that I haven't yet gotten over having to do so as a form of self-protection. A lot of stuff changed very quickly all at once. We'll be open to even more events like the homie meetup throughout the week, but usually do that for dancing. The homies are therapeutic. They are. Also, hello, LT. I I don't know. I used to live in other Discord servers besides the herd before I started sleeping out in the pasture. You know, gotta protect all the moons. And I feel as though I've kind of like dug myself into a little hole there. Just don't feel as comfortable with the vibe. I don't know. I definitely have some sort of internal block going on with the current hardware, and I need to come to terms with it, but I don't know how. And that's its own thing to unravel. Bloody hell. I'm glad there's no more bug friends stored in this general location. It has been very cute. It's been funny after this season of the spider where there was just so many spiders in my living space for like 3 months, and then now all of a sudden it's all the moths and locusts and grasshoppers and katydids and beetles and didn't have passed out early for some reason. Just trying to get things going. Yeah, have a good stream, Koi. Thank you so much for hanging out tonight. Listening to some errant ramblings. I may well have to drop in later. I just, especially since, wow. Yeah, make certain you are prepped. Please go eat something, have some water, use the restroom, do all the things that you gotta do, because you've got a long road ahead of you. And good luck, hon. We'll see you there. I've been. Good. Oops, that's Storm Gust. Well, and I miss. Although that seems to be much more effective than Firewall. I'm realizing that the reason that I don't use Firewall is because I usually end up sub-specializing into Storm Gust. Love you too, Koi. Let's see here. We're sitting about an hour and a half mark in. I may end up sitting back for a moment to take a bite of my food because my meds have kicked in. I have the munchies. And for those that have not yet, go take your meds too. Let's see here. We will eat a bunch of these. Sit down. Drop the melons, which is a hilarious thing to say. Okay. One moment, folks. Why does she do this? I hate it. I hate that she does this face. I don't. I don't. Let's see if my camera detects me in the right spot. Yep, cool. That's good. Start with that. We'll work our way back. Do 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 do. Okay, cool. Too many tabs open. Oh, that's so weird seeing 3 of self, and they're all on slightly different delays. No? No, I'm live. Milky Taro's hanging out here. Oh yeah, for those that don't know, we exist in the same physical layer. We exist in the same space, very close to each other. You might even say the same household. Gay. I need to make a speed wizard, but I don't know how I would do so any different than I already have, because even if I were to increase, I guess it's part of it is I'm just level 71. I haven't had the skill points to invest in dexterity much more than I already have. But you have to have the 99 int. Like there's no reason not to max out your int. And then the part of my brain, it's like I can do math and I can incrementally change this just slightly. If you reduce by 5 points, the amount of payoff for the amount of how much it costs to level up a level 90 stat. Both of you, quit picking things up. I want all these items. Wow. Yep, we're overweight. That's a lot. But the fishy has gone live. Shout out to Koi. I don't know. Oh no. Oh no. I really need to do something about that stream overlay in Ragnarok. I wonder if there's a way for me to automatically disable that. There should be inside of Steam, but I don't know if Steam will actually listen to me. Hell yeah. Oh, that's another level into Blizzard. Let's take a look at what Stormgust actually... Let's see here. So... let's put another point into Stormgust. We'll fit this one into the slot here. If I... This isn't going to tell me anything for the cast time. 2, 3... 0, 1, 2, 3. It's just under, but I don't think... I'm pretty sure this is one of the ones where it's like at level 5 it increases it by an additional 2 seconds casting time just to compensate. And then beyond that, if you put more skill points into it, you're offsetting that further with the increased magic attack per hit. But I noticed that this server has also set limitations on how many of the god spells you can have cast or active at once. You're able to do the Lord of Vermilion and the Stormgust, but you can't do 2 Lord of Vermilion or 2 Stormgust. And I'm certain I could throw in a Meteor Storm there as well, but its casting time is so long, it would actually take longer than the duration of the casting delay, or variable casting delay, of each of the god spells. What does this mean to the average player? Not a whole lot. To somebody doing silly things like what I'm doing right now, i.e., everything with a wizard without a tank and no additional melee unit to back me up, it does start to matter. There was the person that was in the chat the other night who knew exactly how to play when you have a party, and have been playing for the last 20 years and know exactly what items have come out and all the things that will power up your character and speed up the process of leveling up. I know how to do all that from 15 years ago. So there's been a lot of changes since then, and a lot of those things are so accelerated as to make it feel more like a modern MMO. It's not the experience that I'm looking for. I'm here to play the game that I remember. And these are some of the things that you could do inside the limitations of the original game's setup, which cracks me up. That's the other thing. Like when I started playing, there was no transcendence. When I first started playing this game, like this was the highest level wizard there was wizard. There was no high wizard. there was no what's the one that warlock? Is it just called warlock in the American version? Part of the problem also I have is I know the KRO names of like skills, enemies, and classes, and that causes all sorts of confusion when talking with other players. Okay, I'm gonna have to finally mail out more of these. Oh, I love it when my body decides to just start giving me random pains. Thank you, body. That's so appreciable. Yeah, free bonus damage. We're working on our resistances. Resisting what? Living. Chronic pain gang. God, having teleport makes me so absurdly powerful. With a spellcaster like the wizard, you don't get a whole lot of carry weight because you don't normally invest any points into strength whatsoever, which is one of the things that will give you any additional carry weight. And then there are certain classes that gain bonuses to that, like the merchant, who also get the bonus of their own portable secondary storage system with their cart. And having more things in the cart actually contributes to their damage output for certain skills, which is a fun little detail to me. Although I can't remember if the animation for Cart Revolution has been fixed, or if it's still broken in a way that it doesn't actually display for the player. But it does for other players, which is also an interesting break. Okay, let's put all of this into Dex. I know that Oh, I'm already at 95. Okay, so yeah. And I could just throw like 2 whole levels worth of points to get those last 4. Or, as you just saw, I was able to just now put 7 points into my dexterity. And that does make a noticeable difference on the spellcasting time. Dexterity reduces variable casting time for all classes, but it becomes especially handy for the wizard because they don't get anything to protect them from, well, anything while spellcasting unless you teach yourself spells like Safety Wall, which I suppose I should also try and learn Energy Coat. Safety Wall is a fun one. You can outright ignore all incoming damage from all sources up to a maximum value of incoming damage. And it's like having raw armor on, but it's set to such a high value that unless you're fighting an MVP, like one of the boss characters in this game, it'll block anything. So for like player versus enemy stuff, what I'm doing here, just dinking around and leveling up, nothing can hit you, and you can just cast whatever you want. But you have to remember the rhythm of casting Safety Wall, standing in the spot that it goes in every single time, or you're vulnerable. Now, other classes, like the Sage, are able to completely bypass this issue. Really? We're just going to lock up. Again, it picked up every single item before I was able to unlock from that. The Sage is able to completely bypass that issue by using what is it called? I call it warcasting, and I think it's a way more fun using the D&D term. They're able to cast while moving. I think it's called Motor Mouth in the Star Ocean series. Oh, that's another game I need to get ready to pick up soon. That's gonna be such a fun one, but long. And I don't know if I'm necessarily going to go through the entirety of that story on stream because that is literal hundreds of hours. And even at my current rate of production time, that would still take me months on the air. Oh, that's terrifying. Yeah, no thank you. Stop it. Stop it. Stop it. Uh, one moment. I hate when I end up back here at the end. I wonder, was there... Oh, I probably should have been... I could probably be making even more experience, more... Here's a here's a fun thing. Is gaming fun because it's efficient? I understand that efficiency in itself can be fun, but is gaming more fun when you are efficient? Inherently, like, is that a prerequisite to having fun? Because I just about stopped myself being like, oh man, I could have been more efficient about this, and I could have gotten more experience by doing the job boards. What does it matter? We're hanging out. And like the more things that I have to kill in that area, the more recovery items I get, the more money I get. Like, yeah, I might be able to get the experience faster. That's not going to change the fact that I still have to hunt those things down. Let's go see if there's a job board here that I can get to now that I'm higher level. Hey, 60 to 80. What do we got? Sidewinder and Mantis and Argiope Driller. Stardew Valley taught you efficiency can be kind of stressful. I would very much agree when looking at Statec. Anything inside the Create engine, anything involving like trying to make a nuclear reactor inside Minecraft, that does not look like my version of fun. I understand that for some people it can be, like the idea of absolute automation and creating a beautiful machine, but I work in a different way in a lot of cases, and my organic methodology behind building things doesn't lend itself well to mechanical structures that do require like that rigid lockstep thing going on. Bugs. Actually, wait, I don't need any. That's so weird. I have everything that I need on my character to continue doing the thing that I've been doing. I just need to go talk to a teleport agent. What's this say? Just a sign. Oh yeah, this is the new hotel that got set up in Frontera. It's in the back of that building. What do we got here? Wait, Rosary. The Holy Rosario was the apostle... so real. I didn't actually play Stardew. Yeah! 5,000! This person's selling strawberries for 5,000. I should actually probably check the open market to see what people are buying right now. I could turn in all those... What? Didn't mean to go outside. I could turn in all those man-eater blossoms and get some more spending money, but... I should probably stop doing that so I can spread that. I had 300 of them in my inventory previously, and I think I have like maybe 75 right now. They're not the easiest thing to get a hold of, and not by this methodology, but I am getting the free healing items in the process. Let's see. I don't want to stay in Komodo. Hey, I nearly walked off again. I don't want to stay in Komodo for my save. These people are buying Anolian skins for 1,500 and 4,000. Currently, it's selling for 50,000 apiece in Frontera, and people are buying them for 20,000 there. It's interesting to see where the supply and demand actually affects some of the trade value here. Like people are hoping that somebody's going to be looking for quick money quicker and not bother like going and looking in the bigger city for better deals. And mercantilism is one of the earliest lessons I learned from my mother of all things. Let's see what they have here. Ah, Stalactic Golem. I don't want to fight Stalactic Golem. Especially not with that is a mission that I would actually much prefer to have like a follower and a party member with me for. Ba, 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 da, ba. What is life? What are we doing here? Who am I? I know I'm not making that face. That's one thing. Please stop making that face, lady. Not when I'm not, at least. I was talking with somebody else recently about the concept of recurring dreams, and there's a recurring dream I have where I'm like sitting outside somebody's house, like a specific house. I know exactly the shape of the house and the street that it's on, and there's like white picket fences around it, and the fences turn into stegosaurus, like the spikes on their backs, and they like come out of the earth. And it's scary, and there's like all this end of the world scenario stuff that I have to deal with then, and it's like an actual recurring dream that happens probably once every like 5 or 6 years. It's really far spread apart. And yet I also have recurring dreams of places where I'm in a meadow next to a tree. It's like the Windows XP background, but with a tree. Uh-oh. 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 I received a message. Oh, okay. It is from partner. Oh. Wow, that fully derailed me. What was I thinking? What was I saying? Oh yeah, I was actually babbling about efficiency. Uh, efficiency in gameplay can truly like detract from the experience of what the game itself is. I find enjoyment in the mechanic of what I'm doing, even without the payoff of like what I can get from it. But also there's the abstract value of knowing what I can do with these things that I'm doing. It's also strange to imagine a point in time where the gameplay of me just sitting here blowing stuff up as an actual player, not as a bot, because like bots became a thing because real live humans were doing this and getting paid real money for it. So somebody found out a way to automate that, and bots became a thing, and somebody made real world money off of their bot. And that whole thing just like tipped into a bigger escalating snowballing issue. Eventually, it resulted. That's. I don't know if I was actually talking about it on the air, but I found out that the reason the mercenary AI is broken now, like why when I hire a mercenary they won't defend me, it's because of people doing AFK stuff, of having either their mercenary or their homunculus set up to auto attack things around them, and they would just go AFK and then write a macro script to sit down and make the character do something to stay logged into the server and to utilize the contracts for the mercenary scrolls, but have the mercenary do all the killing. They would level up and like be able to go collect items periodically from doing so. Love doing AFK stuff. Um, the the homunculi system was supposed to be like here's a creature that you have created and leveled up and customized on your own that will help you on your adventures and make it so that you're able to be more effective in combat while you use your other skills to buff party members around you and your homunculus. And instead it turned into 1,000 bot players creating alchemist accounts, creating high-level homunculi, and then parking them inside specific dungeons and just going off all the time. And so, like, some of the places where I was previously fighting skeletons and zombies, you would see 60, like, not exaggerating, 60 people in a roughly like 5 screen radius of, imagine the screen radius we're looking at right now, 60 people, all with their own homunculus, so an additional 60 sprites, attacking anything and everything that spawns inside the area. And it was nonstop. As a player coming in that wasn't a robot, it meant that I could just walk in and get free loot as long as I didn't get blown up by something else along the way. But as a person also trying to gain experience in those areas, it meant that I couldn't do my own hunting. And that became prevalent in more than just like the specific areas that I would be grinding, but those were well-known locations to find stuff. It broke the servers. And Gravity's response to it was to then break the homunculus and the mercenary targeting systems entirely. So now everything has to be manually done, and if you're using any kind of like auto-clicking system, the easy anti-cheat can see that. And so like they've created a multi-step system to stop the behavior, but in the process have actually destroyed the class. Like it's not playable the same way as it was. Now you have to have like an attack dog situation instead of having a protector. And that's the thing is like there were multiple classes. You could actually have a follower, or in this case a homunculus, that was specifically designed for just keeping you alive. They were supposed to be your tank. So having, I don't know, a lot of the behavior is being broken in that way. It was a little disheartening because I found out this was a relatively recent development. This only happened 3 years ago. So during the time that I've been away, because of that glitch that sent me away from Ragnarok in the first place, it's uh, it sucked to see. And I'll probably still come back and play with my homunculus player, my alchemist. Like I'm currently playing with my Vanelmer's hat. That's my Vanelmer's. It rides around on all of my characters so that it can get experiences and learn things and meet people and become humanized so it doesn't eat somebody, because it is a terrifying magic wielding slime. It doesn't help my spellcaster very much because she knows what she's doing, but my assassin gives all the magic assistance that it needs to. Oh, we've made it to that creepy part of my playlist again. I'm going to change this. I don't like this. Let's see if that actually... Did that just break? There we go. Wait, we were already past that too, weren't we? And then we're at the Just H Party version. Okay, well, I guess we'll leave it there. Hef, have you played Ragnarok? The hit critically acclaimed MMORPG and so on, all that meme thing that I've been doing from Final Fantasy XIV on purpose. Back in high school, yeah. I want to say that when, oh shoot, I was in junior high when IRO was like big. Ah, 25 years ago. What was it? It wasn't 25 years ago. The game is only 23 years old. Or it might be 21. I know it's an uneven number. Lower than 25. An odd number. Why do I say uneven number? Why is my English so fractured, so broken? Ow! I'm being bitten by a plant. Ow! Ow! I'm honestly surprised I haven't got a Grove card with how many of these I've fought. I'm also trying to think of where's a better spot that I could actually start utilizing some of these spells. I did just pick up that quest from Mantis, but I would no longer be receiving healing items, so I'd have to be spending the ones that I've gathered here. I actually really miss of all the things with this game. I miss Addict RO because at one point they had a living community on their server of about 3,000 players, which is larger than the current official server population. And I don't know if I think the reason that I'm not afraid to mention that one is I'm pretty sure Addict RO is gone. It ended up the people that ran that one split apart and started two separate projects entirely. One of them, I want to say, was Ragnarok, but the other one wasn't. But the balancing on that server and the innovation that they put towards like MVP arenas. Last night, I was super thrilled to see that MVP arenas are a thing. And you can go to Geffen Tower and there's one inside the tower. Because like as a high level player on a private server, that was like the only way that you could try and get certain equipment. Was just repeatedly doing runs against the same boss over and over and over, and like that's not a base part of IRO originally. It is now though. The folks with Gravity and Warp Portal have actually implemented one in Geffen Tower now that I managed to find last night. Ow. I also kind of wonder, let's see here. Fireball 25, Firebolt 22, and I just firebolted my foot. Ow, one sec. So let's see. Will this one-shot this? No, it won't. Close. We're just gonna lock up, huh? Okay. Thank you. Uh, where does one go from there, though? Eat more lizards! They'll make you feel better. It's the solution to everything. Eat more lizards! I could put more points into Jupiter Thunder because it gets really funny after a while. 12x wind property magic damage. I don't know what's the skill cost on it? 32, and I think that goes all the way up to 64, but like yeah, Stormgust is 78, Lord Vermilion's 95. But 570 per one time with a max of 3, so 1500. Jupiter Thunder will do so against a single target with knockback. Potentially to the point of actually knocking them outside the hostility radius. Magic attack 1400. So that's interesting that like Jupiter Thunder is able to get to the same amount of damage and attacks on a single target. What is going on with my mouse here? Did I leave DaVinci running? It's like, did I leave the stove on? Let me double check a thing here. I do definitely have too many things open because I'm getting a strange effect with my alt tabs. There we go. Are we gonna behave now, or do I just miss? Oh no, 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 none of that. No flickers. Are we back? I think I just broke Ragnarok. Okay. Well, I guess that gives me a moment to think about some things. Or I could just continue to not think about things while thinking about things out loud. Aw, puppy paws. Hold on. What is that? Odd Boys Clap? I love that. I need to consider doing an emote like that. Cause I'm tired of the Drake emotes. Like Drake should not have so many emotes. I get that like the meme occurred, but we can do better. We can do better. We can make a furry stand up and clap, you know? I just don't have full body tracking, so it's hard for me to do that. Who pinging? And what else would I even want to play? Okay, I need to tell my machine to uninstall the Whisker Squadron demo. My brain is fried, folks. It's been a long day, like I said at the beginning. Oh, thank you, No Thoughts Head Empty Music, for helping me. No Thoughts Head Empty. In the event of an actual emergency, there would be important information displayed at the bottom of your puppy. I'm currently scrolling through my Steam library and seeing if there's something that catches my attention and makes me go, ooh, let's do that. Oh, hey, whoa! Anonymous gifter. Oh, no. Wait a second. I'm sorry, folks. Life sometimes just like really hits you weird. Yeah, thank you for the anonymous gift sub. Thank you so much. I super appreciate it, folks. Enjoy your emotes. Enjoy access to those, including the new follow emotes that allow you to use Let's see here. Sparkleheart Trans and Sparkleheart Rainbow and Sparkleheart Ace. Anywhere you'd like across Discord. Or Discord. Actually, I think I do have Discord integration going already, but I don't know if they're properly connected in any way, per se. But I meant to say on Twitch. Oh yeah, and TO3. Not to be confused with TOS. Yeah, Bucky Smile is a follow emote as well. Okay, I'm sorry, I needed to sit and think for a moment there. That one took me by surprise. Sometimes life just kind of grabs you by the face and goes, "Hey, pay attention for a sec." Okay, well, strange. Strange. The future is strange. We live in a strange world. I exist in a world that has virtual reality that both may have been out for just long enough to be a brand new thing, and for so long that it is now an old thing. And that's a weird spot to be in technologically. I want to play some mild platformers. I do not want to play like Metroid right now or any kind of Metroidvania. That's too much. Speedrunners is even still too much. N++ is still too much. Like my wrists hurt. We have an incoming storm, and it's why I'm doing like primarily chill stuff that's just mouse driven. Even Minecraft like proves to be a lot when I'm sitting there hammering on the spacebar to jump. Welcome in, viewers. It's good to see you, folks. Oh, we are having a very head empty kind of night. Perhaps a Peglin. I was considering it. Earlier today, I watched the end of my VOD for 2064 Read-Only Memories. At the end of the episode, it's not the actual end of the series, but at the end of one of the episodes, some really heavy stuff happens. And my knee-jerk response to it, and I say so live on the air in that episode, is to, like, comfort myself with Peglin. And there's that whole not wanting to engage with the part of my brain that is very much affected by the gambling thing and feeding into the stuff that utilizes those sounds. And that may actually be that might be the exact reason why I'm not comfortable right now with touching something like Speedrunners or N++, because both of them use the same sound font. That's interesting. I hadn't considered that. But speaking of sound fonts, let's see what we have in emulation. Puppy Gamer. Emu. SNES. The Cool Spot game. Totally not an advertisement. Which is actually really funny because I do like Cadbury products. Although Cadbury is not the bubbly beverage company I worked for in the first place. Super Turrican, can I handle that? No, it's too much. Shiny Assault, no. Shadowrun was too weird. Kirby, can't do. Kirby's Dream Course, hilarious, but that's gonna require another player, and preferably somebody in person. Tactics Advance. Thank you for the follow, Bayo. Also, I love that song. Cuties. Haboo. Hey there, Pilton. We're having a fractured evening, and I'm deciding what I would like to play as a way to distract myself while I continue to chatter mindlessly and aimlessly. I need more of my old Nintendo library. In fact, one of the things that I should look into is snagging a copy of Snake Rattle and Roll. Because I still, whenever I do plug in my NES, like I still pull that cartridge out and play it because it is a hilarious game. Everything's got the Monty Python vibe of absurdity to it, but it's an isometric platformer, I guess, like Hubert, that uses jump combat mechanics like Mario, but it's in an isometric 3D view. It's really weird. Snake rattle and roll? Okay. I don't have a copy of it right now. If you can snag the ROM for me and throw it to me on Discord, I will pull it up immediately because like that one's like zero questions asked. I have it. It's right here. I can pull up my webcam. No, we'll get it. Okay, okay. Can't sub on phone because it doesn't have the 30%. Oh, that is unfortunate. Thank you for the offer regardless. I appreciate the support. I appreciate people just hanging out. Like you don't have to sub, but it helps. It helps because we're able to then save up for things like fun new games like the up and coming Star Ocean and that quest. I couldn't make it here without you folks' support, so thank you. Thank you all. Let's go ahead and let's do some Peglin. It's been a minute. Wait, what? You're way too sweet. What is it? Bang game Peglin. Oh no. Lynn. Apply stand for Eye of Turtle. Yes. Also, why is this in such a weird resolution? Did that just break it? That did. Okay. Alright, OBS. What did you do to Peglin? Step away from the Peglin. The Pegnog. Oh! The screen is actually larger than the screen. That's also annoying. September usually have a hefty discounts when you do your 6 or 12. Oh. I wasn't aware that was a thing. I'm still very new to all this. If you folks weren't aware, I only started watching anything on Twitch whatsoever in mid-November of last year, because of Thrillseeker doing a raid after me watching a stream for the first time ever, was specifically his stream. He raided into Aries chat, and I ended up watching Aerie the Neko for a bit. Peg Timber. Aw. Have a good day at work, Filton. Yep, we're gonna do some pegging while you're at work. And enjoy thinking about that while you're at work, Filton. Don't think about secret channels that don't yet exist on the server for subs. I can't wait for the channel just for DOMs, because it seems like I need to start one of those too. Starting September 26, 2023 at 10 a.m. Gift subs are 25% off until October 1st, 2023 at 12 a.m. Pacific time. Hashtag not an ad. Technically, hashtag yes it is an ad, and I do technically work inside the confines of the company running it. So if you folks would like to support, apparently there will be an upcoming discount. Stick to September. September, Domtober. Wow, I'm doing terribly at this. This is the first level, and I'm just busy thinking of, well, Lexicon, primarily. I'm so glad that actually finished that one slime. Wow. This is bad. Have you heard of the critically acclaimed hit MMORPG? Peglin? Which is kind of an RPG, not at all an MMO, except in the fact that, alright, so here's a fun broken moment in taxonomy actually. Is Peglin an MMORPG? It is an RPG, and it is massively played online. For each level 175 MMO? Yes. Generator, but applies lightning slime. That one seems... I haven't used it, so I may as well try it. What else we got? Or bust? Okay, yeah, give me that too. Applies lightning slime to every 8 pegs hit. Lightning slime zaps nearby pegs when hit. Okay. I guess I'll read the rest of that later. September's already going for personal subs, but you can't do it on the app. I have to do it from the website. Okay. Thank you so much, Hef. I really am, like I said, very new to all this still, so having other folks around that actually know what they're talking about, it helps. You were saying you love things having to do with automation. How familiar are you with VC Face, Vignan, and like what's the other one? Virtual something studio. Koi uses it or used to use it. What is that emote? What is that? Okay, grants 4 bulwark. Yeah, sure. Zap. Wait, what? Lame. Generatorb. No idea what any of those programs are. Okay. All of the ones that I was trying to list are specifically VTuber software. In my VTuber software that I'm currently running, which is VC Face, I'm driving an avatar that I made inside Vroid. It is a .vrm file, and there can be like... I can go into a set of menus to select an avatar while I'm live on the air, and depending on the way that I'm broadcasting things, it will or won't display the menus. Of course, I can't see my bloody menu. There we go. And I can swap back and forth to my different avatars. Now, what I'm curious about here is how hard would it be to set up automation outside this software where I just use a keystroke and something else in my computer reads that keystroke as, go over here and click these buttons to do this for me. I do hate when my Vroids act up. I hate... Alright, you want to see, like, legitimately what I hate about Vroids? When my skirt... Let's see if I can set it off. We're gonna upset the Vroid real quick by moving around way too much, more than the camera can possibly track. And we'll see if when I come back to normal, what's the skirt doing? Oh, it's just doing the wind thing. Sometimes it'll get stuck in a pseudo erection, and I bloody hate it. It is like the only time I get dysphoric in VR. I don't even in VR. I'm in pseudo VR using, again, Vroid and VC Face, which is just using my webcam to track my head movement to give the rest of the body movement. And there's a certain amount of, like, I don't know, programming and tuning it so that it reads your facial gestures as well, and you can further enhance that with other hardware, like an iPhone running... What's your iPhone 12 and beyond running ARKit, and it's specifically used for pointing the camera back at you to do face and head and hand tracking, which will then animate the rest of the upper body of the avatar inside VC face. But there's other software out there like Vignan, which is a much more programmable version of said software. I love that I finally changed it from just chatting to Peglin, and then I stopped playing the game to talk about VTubing. Welcome to my broken ass brain. I'm sorry, everyone. Stares at the message in disbelief. Yeah, or she looks hungry sometimes. Yeah, that's its own separate thing. If I cover up the lens cap real quick, she'll return to her neutral setting. But previously, before I got the facial settings and tracking set up the way they are, she would just look off to the side of the screen like upset or in disbelief like this. And it is just like concerned at the chat. But yeah, the idea being to set up some form of automation either via keystroke or even with stream integrations so that people can do a redeem for an outfit swap without me having to go and get other software suites involved. Brain broken. Streamer mode engaged. Oh no, I did just actually break the V-Roid. She drifting. Okay, we're back. Grants 1 must circle and 4 bulwark. So when I fire this, it's going to make it even stronger? Or afterward? When fired. Oh, it must be when it's thrown. I love both of these. Every 14 hit. Grants 6, and it's a 3/3. Every 6. Every 4. Boing, boing, boing. There have been so many. It's funny when you say, like, don't you hate it when your viewers act up? There have been so many times in so many streams where, yes, exactly that occurs. My Vroid does act up. It is. I struggle a lot with her doing facial expressions that I'm not doing, and I'm not entirely sure if that's just a limitation of my face not being shaped in a way that the software can read, which that is absolutely a possibility, or if it's more a matter of I just need to have like the iPhone tracking it. It's hard to say. Ah! No, I wanted the treasure! Oh, alright. Love that noise. Really? Sad. Oh, what? An attempt was made. I love anything that offers a multi-ball option in this. They're so fun. A Smoltorn. You catch a glimpse of an ethereal Peglin. It appears to be some kind of echo of its former self. That, or of yourself? Wow. We go into combat. Oh, it's this one. I like this room. Very easy room. So many explosives. And that's it. That's the whole room. It's already done. Ooh. Best foot forward. First shot, first peg hit each shot gets +5, can target any enemy. And shock absorber. I do like that one too. For bomb builds, it can get really nice. Okay. Prime Rod of Frost. Nice. No. Multi-ball. Terrible. There we go. Bulb. Applies healing slime to every 10 pegs hit. Healing slime to heal 1 when hit. Can only be used once per battle. What a strange one. This was a bad decision. I'd never finished this one with remotely enough health to survive. Okay. Never mind. I was incorrect. Hate this level. Yeah, I hate this level. It is the worst level. Potion Vault? Multi-ball 1. The created multi-ball is a random slime. Yo. Yes? Like, is that even a question? Hey, it's been a minute. I needed that. Ah, dang. Ah! Multi-ball 2. I don't know. Orbist. Wait. Is Orbist supposed to be a reference to uh people's certain special interests? I don't know how to better phrase that. Boliviation applies damage reduction slime. Reduces incoming damage by 1. Damage reduction slime melts off at the start of each shot. What? Multi-ball. Yes. Heal. Boing. Okay. Refreshes on every reload is not a bad thing. On this map, it can be a little frustrating, but... Defend! Enchantment! Toss. Toss. Oh, I hate this fight. This fight always. So anxiety-induced. Very well. Ugh, I've still missed the refresh. Okay. That was pretty cool. Alright. Refresh is way out there. Have an orb bounce only between slime pegs 6 times before touching. What a weird achievement. Also, there's so many different colored of slime pegs now. Chopping Bollock? Oh. I don't really want any of those. Consuming Chalice? Well, time to really mess up this run. I think I really, really, really messed up this run just now, actually. Oh no! Oh no! Oops. I mean, we're doing a lot of damage with bombs, which is kind of funny. Okay. I guess that worked. Grants 1 must circle, but deals 4 self-damage. Grants 2. Continue. Big fight. Generatorb. It's Generator. Random slime appliers. Slime appliers! Oh, wow! You just got another multi-ball achievement there. The amount of healing that I'm getting from that is really funny. I don't know what the different colors of slime are doing, though. Oh, the crit's over there. Well. Okay. Can at least start dealing damage now. Wow, that one enemy actually got pretty far up there. Hmm. Ooh, creates a coin and convert every into bomb. For every ooh. Hmm. There's like nothing left here that's funny. Okay. Additional bombs. I reduced the damage by doing that, but the bombs will handle it. Okay. Eviscerbate. Jack Orb Lantern. Of course. Hey there, Evilrado. Welcome in. We jamming. We're just kind of hanging out and having a No Thoughts Had Empty stream tonight. As you're running your hand down the corridor, you discover the entrance to a small passageway. Where do we go? Okay. Hi, hi, hi. I love Peglin. It's such a weird little roguelike. I keep thinking I have to use the ore bust in a different way, but I legitimately just have to like throw the first few balls out there to get their effects started. Generatorb. Yeah. Sometimes it's necessary. I can't. I could. I could. It'd be terrible if I did. Yeah, I knew it. Okay. Oh, they got the crit. Dang it. Very nice. Irresponsible. Grants 3. Yes, please. A shop. A shop. A shop. Super boots. Fairy peg hit after. Detonate 1 hit. Huh. Detonate 1 hit. Yes. Exit store. Next store. Molten gold. Battle start with extra gold. Attack supply spinfection too. Oh, that's fun. Extra gold. We're already in Act 2. Almost done with Act 2. My music ended. I just realized that. Hey, yo. Play the next track then. Don't just end there. Also turn that up. Okay. Where are we going with this one? Oh no! I didn't look. I'm a fool. A good slime! Every load grants all orbs plus X every reload. I'm not going to get reloads very often. But this is an angel ring from Ragnarok. This is a Ragnarok reference. Now you people have to deal with me making those references all the time again. It just makes me happy. Oh, I definitely don't have gold. I don't have gold. Don't take me there. Evil. Pebble. Generatorb. I still don't know what that one's really doing, but it's doing something. More upgrade orbs. Okay. Also hit nearby enemies. Oh, these are all so good, but it's gonna be Powder Collector. Like, without a doubt, it's gonna be Powder Collector. This is now a bomb run. Orbist. Slap. Wow. I have no idea what just happened. Refresh is way down there. Got it. Next. Multiple. Another potion ball. That one's fun. Things just got weird. When this game first came out, you beat it and refunded it wasn't your thing. Did they do any content releases? Yes, actually, quite a bit. Let me turn down my music a little bit. It's just changing tracks at this point. Yeah, that's what I thought. I'm like, I don't know. I don't know yet. Okay. This they keep coming out with more packs of new things to add to your ball bag, your deck. And they've also added 2 new classes that when you reach certain achievement points, and they are pretty difficult for me at this point, although I believe that Milky Taro's already got them both. I want to say that I think it was Fabrizia that said that she'd already gotten pretty far on this. Yeah. Yeah, I struggle with this one, but a lot of other people that I hang out with actually like really enjoy this one. I'm amazed that they missed that crit. That's so funny. Ooh, signal booster. This orb is affected by muscle circle, spinous, and balance 2 times. Huh. Crucible resets for each class unlocks, so still regular Peglin 2. Reg Peg. More potion ball. That one's fun. Okay. Potion ball has been really fun. Multi-ball plus multi-ball is always really funny to me. Right? Same. Big mood, Jarvie. Ooh, summoning circle. Summons 1 copies of the next orb in your deck. Ooh. Summons 2 copies. I'm curious, and I'm going to invest in it. You find what looks like a haglin standing motionless on your path. Something about it gives you the creeps, but they seem to be offering the same services as usual. What do you desire? Remove a pebble. Consider it done. You're less than thrilled with the price that was paid, but your satchel is lighter with the removal of the pebble. Shimmer room. Best orb fence. I hate these. Applies can target any upgrade. Habu! Habu! How's it going, Ganja Waifu? We chillin', we no thoughts head emptying, we ballin', we peggin', we peg ballin', we ball peggin', we peglin'. And you can too for the wow! It's so colorful! September is on! I too love doing activities. I certainly do love some activities. Yanlo ready? Hmm. 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 I'm so glad you folks are actually making use of that emote. Triggers a crit. Ooh. Beckoning crit. Hell yeah. Attack! Ooh, more treasure. Cookies! Refreshes are now heals. Oh, I almost got something out of that. Oh, I hate this room. Ah, woo! Awa, 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 awa. Crunch. Let's say 12? Wow. Nice. Exacerbate. Increases enemies' debuffs by 2. Puppy go crunch. Crunch, crunch, crunch. Crunching's what I do. Whoa. I think I did need this. Okay. Very satisfying. Very satisfying. Double trouble. Potion bolt. You know I'm gonna. You know I'm gonna. Special button. They keep trying to give me those gloves, but I'm more into that special button than I am the gloves. Don't think about it. Stop it. Welcome in, Busta. Potion ball. Whoa. What? What is happening? Ooh. Ooh. That was neat. Slap. $30. $30. Slap. Everything goes confetti for a sec. Kritsabalas. Uh-huh. Every 6. Trigger on the first. Yep. And may as well heal. Oh. Alright, almost to the final boss on this one. Oh, I love this boss. This one's cool. Spintress payment. For every 25 held when fired. Ooh. That's interesting. I'm like thinking about, nah, we'll just do this. You know what? Add it to the stack. Oh, here we go. The dragon. Uh-oh. What does that mean? It's like popcorn. 10,000 health. Thank you, Filton. I appreciate the support, hon. Oh, that is a hungry looking dragon. I don't know about that. Oh no. Pebble. I take damage now from burning pegs. I have to get down to this. There we go. There we go. Even got some full healing off of that. Doing a couple thousand this time? Very nice. The dragon is new, yeah. Swoltorb. Let's do it down there. See what that do. Oh no! Boborb. Boborb. Oh yeah. Potion vault. Ow! Jerk? Super awake because he had a lot of tea after work but still passed out before stream. How am I gonna get to that refresh down there? I'm kinda... Mods be sleeping. Back to the mines you go. Aww. Thank you for the support, Filton. You're super sweet. Oh, that deflection ability is nice. How am I gonna get to this? The fact that everything has Duraball is really screwing me over right now. This doesn't summon anything. Just pegs. Oh no. Ooh. Alright. I don't know what just happened, but I'm not gonna fight with that. Like, yeah, yes please. Give me that. Let's do it. Some terminal damage. This is gonna be crit balls. That's gonna be fun. Alright, let's do this. Crucible level 6. The Sorosaurus was the name of the dragon. What's this? A new character's ready to join your adventure. Poison Vault. Those are fun. I like the portal. Okay, so what's... Hello? Spinventor. This is a new class even for me. Delves into the strange properties of pegs, orbs, and relics and focuses on effects that alter the pegboard and the orbs themselves. Spinventor originality. Unique orbs in your deck get +1/+2. Splitor. Applies rubber slime to every 5. Okay. I'm waiting to see like how this differs. Omega Orb starts with crazy damage. Rub Orb. No, we're just gonna continue. Oh, it's the darkness. I'm like, what is that purple sigil every time I hit something? It's because I'm using a sand attack. We just jamming. I want to get that last piece of gold. Gimme. Thank you. Like, I'm willing to have this one slime smack me repeatedly. Two's company applies double damage slime to every 9. Nah. Okay. Yeah. Continue. Let's see. Upgrade this again. Yep. At work right now. Scoop up the forge. It's mine now. Whenever an orb is added to your deck, upgrade it and take 4 damage. This is such a powerful relic to end up picking up. I love it. Hey there. How you doing? It's a cowboy. Oh no. I should have thought that through. $14, and it missed? Oh, the darkness. Wow, that stacks up pretty nicely. Every 11 is a positive slime added. Attacks gain +1/+1. Cookie. What else? Wow, that is a lot of items. Okay, this is being very polite all of a sudden about, like... Ooh, 4/7. I'm starting with some wildly high damage. What's that one? Activate Orb. The next orb drawn gets +X/+Y, where X and Y are this orb's regular and crit damage. Wait, what? There's no difference between level 2 and 1. The good slime. That's so cute. I'm gonna have to get like an angel ring pet in Ragnarok. Except for the sling. Not a bad one to pick up right now. Could you imagine how funny it would be if I managed to get that? Okay, +4/7. Just continuing to not really want any of those. I guess we'll get Ball Lightning as a classic. Oh, right. Oh, more lightning. Yes. That's interesting that it didn't give me the damage, and I bet you... Oh, check behind. Nothing behind, but there's a strong monster! Boss fight! Level 2, level 3. Oh, it did upgrade it. That's interesting. 180, dang. Oh no! Oh no! Just got home from work. Well, welcome home. Concentrication is such a funny one. It acts not the way it should. Do your orbs crit damage times number crit? Sure, I don't fully understand the math involved here, but we're gonna use it. Sounds powerful. Did it once before, we could do it again. Only hits... Oh, right, okay. Can target any enemy. So we're gonna target the enemy behind them. And we're gonna aim for... Why does it float like that? That part I don't get. Got it. That's good damage, honestly. Oh, that's so cool, seeing the new animation for the lightning. There we go. Inferno Orb and Icicle. Oh, we did it again. The combination of artifacts we got this time is going to make this a little different. Ow. Whoa. Inferno Orb. That is way more bombs than I would expect. The Bombulets seems to be not behaving correctly. Oh. Whoops. I'm highly entertained by the way that all this is behaving. And there it is. So I have refresh healing. Let's add to that. Refresh based healing. Free range refresh based healing. Gluten free. Duplicate all orbs. Yes. Thank you for all orbs. I am the all orb. Ooh, summoning circle. I enjoyed that one last time. And there's so many. Based on the number of pegs. I don't understand, but we're gonna find out. I don't understand, but it's doing some damage. Ow. The momentum being applied by the pegs moving back and forth is really fun. Slime sect orb. Part of the assemble creates a new assemble if no other assembles have a slot for this part. Applies reverse. I don't know what this means, but we're gonna mess with it. I just healed. That's fun. What was the point of that besides the healing? Because that's really funny. You. There's so many orbs. There's way too many for me to like keep track of what's what anymore. Oh, come on. 0 damage. There we go. Got rid of their healer at least. What's up with these assassins just hanging out in the back? Uh-huh. Assemble. Slap. One strawberry moose stops streaming, another begins. Who's to say where one ends? I guess. I need to go to a shop in this. I haven't seen any. Ball? Ball? I gotta go middle. Okay. Button. Yes. Swolt this orb. So many explosives. Already down to half health. Ah. Very nice. Another ice circle. Got it. Okay, we begin. This battle is terrifying. It has so many bombs. Alright, not a bad start. That is, when that stuff happens, but... The damage on that is always so low. Oh no, they ended up in the same spot! No! This is just gonna summon rocks. Alright. Cabal. Finally. That's better. Okay. So close. Getting very, very close. Getting terrifyingly close. Eight. Oh, why? close. So close and yet so far. Okay. The hell? What next? I do like the Gatling gun in this so far. It has been fun. The multi-missile as well, honestly. I can't wait until they release new things for this. We have some coinage. $25,000. Wow. Oh, wait, what? Huh? Ooh, yes. Crit hit recharge, good. When I crit, I now get extra energy so I can keep shooting. Very beneficial. I have a lot on my mind, and it is leaving me very quiet, and I am so sorry, folks. I really need that magnet mod. Thank you, Stream Elements. Ah! Ah! More. Ow. Oh, yeah. Have a good night, hon. See you again soon. Ooh. Yeah, this is Flip Fly Studios. This is the same people that did Race the Sun. We finally got healing. Ah. More. Nothing worse than leaving behind experience. Less detailed? Yeah, true. I gotta say that, like, it's kind of surprising to see them pull out a completely different style of game using the same engine. And I appreciate that, like, greatly. More of that, please. In general, just see what you can do with what you've already made. Within reason. Like... Jetpack Joyride MMORPG! Hell yeah! Yes, I do love the sun racing elements. Ow! I also love when I can actually aim. Ooh. Combo hits, huh? It's nice. It sucked losing that card, and maybe I'll get lucky and find another Injustice card because maybe it's completely irrelevant to the current meta. I don't know. There is that hope in the back of my mind, and there's the hope that I can just like sit down one day and grind out that much money and go pay somebody for one, but I'll have to find a much more efficient manner than what I have been doing. I guess hidden dungeon runs, possibly. More multi-missile. Also, thank you for hanging out and chatting with me. It's nice getting to talk during stream. Like a party? A guild, you say? Yeah, I guess I should probably consider doing some... I need to do some things in the Discord, such as putting together a better tiered channel system and a actual guild channel, since Takoyapi is going to remain a private server, but we can definitely have the Takoyapi guild back. I don't know. We'll figure it out. I did not read that. She's taking worse hits from what? I keep running out of energy. That was just so much money that I just left behind. No! Hey. I agree. The sound design of this one is really fun. There's actually a good chunk of me that is very tempted to pull out the original Race to the Sun as a bit of a contrast to this. And just to see what today's challenge is. Ah! I did not steer through that well. Let's see. Even more energy. Also, higher hull capacity. Let's just do more energy. Ah! Oh. Ow, 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 ow! Jeez! Still here, still killing it. Ooh. Wow. Ow, 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 no! No! Oh god! That is one of the glitches I do not appreciate in this. Yep. Hi, Dan. How you doing, hon? Hope you're having a good night. Well, good day. Evening. Oh, I'm a little frazzled today. I saw that one coming. That was good and stylish, though. I think to myself, and I ponder, and I think a thing, and I wonder, and I wonder, and I think. You know what? It's been a silly enough day. It's been a long enough day. Fraz day. Yeah. Let's go ahead and send everybody over to Koi. I have met a point where I can no longer maintain stream quality at a level that I would like to. Let's go. Let's say hi to our friend. Well, that didn't work, but it was worth a try. Thank you. Thank you, everybody, for hanging out tonight. Thank you for everybody that put up with my initial 2-hour rant about just generally not knowing what the hell I'm doing with my life or with anybody else's, but wanting to help nonetheless. Being a puppy. Being a puppy. Has to not have the at. Oh. Thank you, Milky Taro. I love you too. And the rest of you as well. All those that are hanging out, all those that stuck around in the chat, and all those that watched the VOD. This is going to be a weird night. See you later. Love you all. Probably Monday night, 9 p.m. Mountain Standard Time. I don't see myself having the energy to do any kind of weekend streams. What day is today? It is Friday. Milky Taro, we missed out on dinner plans that were supposed to happen tonight. It's Thursday night. It's Friday night. Okay, thank you. Yeah, that's how broken I am. Yeah, you just watched the puppy tilt happen a few times. I look at the calendar there. I was like, wait a second, it's Friday. I got legitimately upset that I missed dinner plans. Alright, everybody, have a good night. We'll see you all tomorrow evening, about 9 p.m. Mountain Standard. We may be a little bit late. As you see, we had dinner plans. Have a good one. Bye. Ah.